40 Wipes DPS Academy. Hey everybody, welcome to the video. This will be a heroic walkthrough of the Midnight Season 1's raid, which is the Void Storm. This is actually the first time that I've walked through this video on playback, so I'm going to be trying to explain the mechanics of every single boss and just to break down what is supposed to be done. Okay, so the first boss, Imperator Averzion. This boss, think of it as a tic-tac-toe kind of fight where you're trying to make sure the boss doesn't complete the tic-tac-toe sequence. Okay, so there are kind of like 9 zones available, and what you're trying to do is to take out 2 of the zones as he spawns. So he'll spawn random void adds on any random zone, so 3 of them, and then what you're supposed to do is for the tanks to kind of put the soaks around those ads to kill them, and then the final ad it kind of stays there because there's only 2 soaks. So what you're supposed to do is to kind of make sure that the zones that are intact don't form like a tic-tac-toe 3 in a row kind of sequence. Alright, so besides that mechanic, there's obviously some hazards that you can see here. I'll be explaining the mechanic as we go through the cycle after this. Okay, so yeah, we start off this video by looking at the soak that's going to appear. So it's going to be called Shadows Advance. So Shadows Advance, you can see 3 circles that spawn. Each circle spawns an ad that cannot be destroyed unless you put a tank soak around them. Okay, so for this soak, you try to have as many players as possible inside the soak. After each soak, do a tank buster swap. Okay, then the second tank goes to the next the next Abysmal Voidshaper ad to kind of kill it, so you to kind of get rid of the tic-tac-toe sequence. The ads that are still up will kind of form like a star-shaped frontal, so you might want to get out of those. And then what's going to happen is the Abysmal Voidshaper ad that appears out of the zone that was not claimed will be targeting players after the frontals come out. Okay, so what you're supposed to do in Hero is to kind of split up the Abysmal Voidshaper and the boss, because the boss takes reduced damage when the ads go into him. So that's what we did right here. Okay, so what you want to do is to get the off-spec tank that wasn't on the boss on the second soak to kind of drag taunt on all the other ads that appear. Okay, and then the main tank that was on the boss for the second soak, try to pull the boss away from the void circles. The closer the boss is to the void circles, the more damage reduction he has to the entire raid party. So you kind of don't want that to happen. Okay, and then following up, there's a few times that this march kind of appears. So you gotta kind of see where the marching ads kind of form, because sometimes they form in the middle, sometimes they form on 2 sides. Okay, so it's very random sequence. So you gotta kind of look to the front where the march is going to form. Okay, and then here it's just rinse and repeat. Everything else is just hazards, AoEs, trying to avoid, sidestep and everything. So yeah, here are the 3 frontals that we just formed. Okay, so we've gone through 3 rounds of the Shadows Advance. Okay, now the ads are just forming. As you can see, the off-spec tank is going to go towards the ad that just spawned, the Abysmal Voidshaper. Okay, and then just drags every single ad there. All DPS, your aim is to kind of cleave down the ads as fast as possible before you head back to the boss. You can kind of assign some DPS on the boss to make sure that he constantly takes damage, but most of your effort should always be on the ads that spawn after the star-shaped frontals are set off. Alright, and then yeah, that's pretty much it for Imperator Averzion. So it kind of ends at about three sequences. So if you reach like the fourth sequence where the boss is gonna create tic-tac-toe, it's already in kind of a danger zone. So this is where you kind of want the boss to be killed after this phase, because as he goes through he goes past so many different void ads. Right now he has to be at least 1% kind of HP to be taken down, because same thing, damage reduction on all the closer it gets to every void circle. Okay, so next boss, this is Vorasius. So Vorasius, I think there's not much differences from heroic and normal. The only thing is that for the walls that he spawns, you gotta get at least 2 ads to explode on the wall. and that's basically it. Okay, so you start the fight by just tanking the boss right in the middle. He doesn't move. That's quite a big pull in from the boss that he does at the start, so you might want to start running backwards on that. Just be sure whenever this circle pops up, it's actually a tank buster, so the main tank got to stand inside it, soak the damage, and then everybody else just stand inside it to avoid the waves that come out. For ranged players, it is possible to stand all the way back to kind of avoid the circles, because there's only 3 waves. Every circle that every 2 of the starting circles that he spawns, it'll spawn the walls that you can see, the crystal shaped walls at the side. Okay, and there's 4 sequences of this circle thing that he slams on the ground with his forearms. So you kind of can do a tank swap on every 2 circles. I think that's sufficient. Yeah. Okay, then after this, there's just some AoE that he's gonna cast, and then just after the AoE, there'll be these small ads that appear, and they'll kind of fixate players. So you kind of want to guide the ads into the walls with the lines. So you can kind of see that there's a line on me right here. So you want to kind of pull the ad towards the wall, and while avoiding the circle, right? Pull ads towards the wall and make sure they stay at the wall while they die, so that when they explode, they make this blue circle around the wall, and when the blue circle explodes, it kind of breaks the wall at the side. Once the wall breaks, okay, so you gotta kind of look at the arms of Vorasius. So it's kind of glowing on the right hand, so we kind of move towards the right side. So his our left, his right. Yeah, so it's kind of like the Dimensius mechanic on Dimensius Phase 2 on Heroic or Normal, okay, where you look at the hand, which way is going to swing, and then you move to the side that is opposite from that area. So once you're at the side, just keep firing at the boss, and then once the frontal is over, get back to the middle, and then restart the phase again. So this phase just keeps going, rinse and repeat from here. So suck in, make sure you move away from the suck, and then after that there will be the 4 sequences of the slams, and then after that the frontal will happen again. Yeah. Yep, from here on out it's just rinse and repeat, and just make sure the ads are cleaved down on the walls. Okay, now we have Fallen King Salhadaar. So Fallen King Salhadaar, the mechanics from Heroic and Normal aren't that much different. You still focus on the orbs that are coming towards him. So he casts this random 2 lightning chain effects on the sides, and then he opens up the orbs. So same thing, fractured images, you gotta kind of CC them to make sure they disappear. Any fractured images that don't disappear, they create this purple pool on the floor, as you can see. Okay, right is on the right side of my screen. The orbs, you gotta be cleaved down basically, and then random players will be forming this blue circle that you see around them. So very important to kind of put the blue circles around the sides. And then the extra heroic mechanic is that every so often the DPS and healers, you guys might be able to get a star formation right here. It kind of has the same timing as the blue circles, where it kind of explodes after about 7-8 seconds. So what happens is that each player that gets hit by the star, including the main tank, will be kind of have like a cone-shaped star explosion that appears. Okay, so you want to kind of move that to the side as well. So this whole fight is basically a usage of space. How much can you use your space enough to be able to kill the boss? So yeah, just make sure everything, almost every single effect has like a AoE on the floor hazard kind of thing, where you can see the stars going out, and if they go out, you can, for players who are in the middle, just try to avoid every single beam that's going to come in the form of like a cone-shaped hazard. Yeah, and then after that, every so often the boss also casts some entropy thing where it goes into a star, and then it just rotates 5 beams rotating around each other basically. So all you gotta do is just stand on the safe part of the beam where you're not taking damage, and then just keep hitting the boss. As the beam is turning, there's also red white damage being done. Okay, so after the beams are done, he basically puts the there's like a big pool of goo on the floor, mana goo on the floor, which if you step on it, that's a DOT. So for tanks who are on the boss, you gotta try and move the boss out of the way when the star rotation starts to form. Yeah. Other than that, from here on, it's rinse and repeat. So kill orbs. then random players with the circles and the stars will form. So circles, you guys might want to just put it to the side, all while cleaving down the concentrated void orbs that are appearing. Okay, so these things need to be killed. If any of these things hit the boss, then it's a red wipe for everybody. Yeah, and then random stars, and then just after this, once the stars explode, he's gonna go into the intermission stage where he pulls 2 other orbs. So the rotation would be the orb phase. This concentrated void orb phase always happens twice. So 2 phases of the void orbs, then the circles, then the star. Random player gets stars, tank buster, stars, fractured images. Then a second round of the orbs again, and then he goes into that spinning frontal intermission, which is about now. Oh, sorry, one more star formation. Yeah, and then just after this. So it actually takes a while, so you can kind of still, you know, cleave down stuff. Yeah, and then he goes into the star rotation format. Right, that's that's Fallen King Salhadaar. Okay, we're on to the 4th boss. So S2 are dragons that fly in the air, and they gotta be tanked separate from each other. So 2 tanks, basically 2 dragons. Okay, split the raid group into 2 different teams and start the mechanic cycle. There is no sequence of mechanics that will happen, so just react to whatever that comes along. Null beam. So null beam from Vaelgor targets the main tank. Okay, whoever's on Vaelgor. So just point that frontal away from everybody else. The next mechanic will be a tether. So just after the null beam, okay, so a tether will form on almost every player, so you just gotta run out of your given circle that you just saw earlier to break the tether. Dread breath. So dread breath targets a random player with a fear, so just point that fear frontal away from people. Okay, and as you saw as well, Ezzorak casted the Void Howl, which will put a random circle around each player. So those circles will spawn a random, random ad, as like what you guys see here. So the ads got to be CC'd down, interrupted before they get too many casts off. Okay, and after that, there will be one more mechanic called Gloom Sphere, like what you saw here. So Gloom Sphere has to be tanked, has to be soaked by at least 5 different players before it turns to blue. Before it turns blue, it's actually purple in color. When it hits the wall, when it's blue, it'll cast a area of denial kind of puddle where you'll see later on if the camera pans out. Okay, so you kind of want to put the gloom spheres adjacent to each other as they hit the walls. You don't want to put 2 gloom spheres on one another, or else the area of denial, as you can see right here, is gonna expand basically. So the wall on the the top left side is gonna basically be non-accessible for players. Yep, and then after that everything just repeats. So these 4 mechanics are on the boss, right? It casts at random orders. Okay, so you gotta kind of react to those mechanics as they come along. When ads are out, just cleave as much as possible. Otherwise, yep, everything on the boss. Okay, so every so often the bosses will have an intermission phase where they get to 100 energy and they both fly up. When that happens, oh, okay, not yet. Yep, when that happens, it's called a radiant barrier or something. So when that happens, there'll be a huge light dome that appears right in the middle, and there'll be this manifestation ad that gotta be basically killed as fast as possible. Random players will get a circle around them, so what you gotta do is just bring the circles away from the raid group, put it as close as possible to the outside of the radius of the light, okay, to let it explode. Once it explodes, come back in and just cleave down take down the manifestation ad. Okay, then when both bosses come down, 2 tanks swap positions. The teams, whoever is on the same team, whoever were on the same team can just, do the same mechanics. So right now, as you saw in the earlier video, now Ezzorak will be on the ground and Vaelgor will be kind of flying. Okay, so Ezzorak will begin to cast more of his or her mechanic. You do want to kind of avoid staying behind any dragon, because there's a tail whip that happens every now and again. So when you get hit by the tail whip, it basically throws you pretty far back. It's like a big knockback to any random player at the back. So you kind of want to not be at the back. Okay, yeah. So Gloomsphere, as what you saw, 5 people still got a soak. On Heroic, whoever soaks the Gloomsphere would also get a Gloomsphere debuff, so you kind of don't want to soak 2 different Gloomspheres at the same time. So given that I've already soaked it for the previous one, I didn't soak it for this one as well. So we had, for this raid, we had like 3 teams of 5 to soak the Gloomsphere orb. Okay, and then yeah, after that on, it's just the repeat of the mechanics. So Gloomsphere, and in this case Gloomsphere appears with the threads like what you guys are seeing right now, so it's a different set of 5 people that gotta soak the Gloomsphere, and then add spawn, loosely spread, just to make sure the ads are all around. The ads will kind of move to towards the center and to the side, and depending on how they finish casting, so you gotta kind of deal with that. Dread Breath again, watch out for the fear. So whoever's on the fear of Dread Breath has a purple arrow that spawns on their head. You gotta kind of point it away from the raid because it's gonna be on any DPS player. For once the player gets hit by the Dread Breath, right, he or she gets feared basically. So any healers, that's the time to use your Dispel on the player that gets feared. Yeah, and then after that the intermission happens again. So during intermission, just make sure you kill the manifestation. If you don't kill it, that's fine, because you're gonna bring it into the dragon phase when they land after that as well. So yeah, and then orbs go out. Yeah, basically from here on out, it's just rinse and repeat from here. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for the 2 dragons. Rinse and repeat. Yep. Okay, we've come to the 3 paladins fight. Just think of these 3 paladins as the 3 specs that can have. So Hold-in, Prod Paladin, and Retribution Paladin. One tank will taunt the Light Blood, Commander Vanille Light Blood. One tank will taunt Bellamy. Okay, and then the War Chaplain Sen cannot actually be taunted in this fight. Okay, so this whole fight is actually just a 1-phase fight with 3 different mechanics from 3 different paladins. Okay. Yeah, so the tank on Bellamy basically the tank on Light Blood and Sen basically just pull the 2 paladins out. So Bellamy is actually kind of like the protection paladin, where when he casts his Aura of Devotion, what happens is that anything inside or any other ad basically, or enemy or boss inside, takes damage reduction. And as he does that, the shields will come out from him as well, so these need to be dodged. If you get hit by a shield, you get silenced and you can't cast a few skills. Okay, I think that's the worst for casters basically. So yeah, that's the Aura of Devotion from Bellamy. After that, Light Blood does his Aura of Wrath. So Aura of Wrath, basically what happens is there will be like 4 soaks on random players. You need at least 5 players to soak each circle, and you just gotta move the boss away from the group, because if not, they do double damage from inside the aura. Okay, and then after that, these random hammers will start spinning around us. So the Light Blood is basically like the Red Paladin's skill. Okay, yeah, and then after that, it'll be Sen's turn to do his aura, which will happen after a while. Okay, so whenever he does that random shield thing, so just make sure you don't get hit by the shields. Okay, and then whenever there's this judgment cast, you can see the judgment cast, we do a tank swap on the 2 bosses as well. So between Light Blood and Bellamy, you tank swap. Okay, and then so now you kind of pull everybody out. This is Sen's move, where it's called Aura of Peace. Aura of Peace, basically what happens is you stop hitting Sen, and yeah, you stop hitting Sen, and tanks pull both out, and healers gotta kind of heal through random players that get hit by Tear's Wrath. Okay, so yeah, this is a and then random players get hit by that random circle thing there. So those are healing debuffs basically. Yeah, and then whenever he casts that blinding light and shield thing, you gotta kind of burn the shield down from Sen as well. Yeah, so Sen, when he casts that blinding light, basically his shield will not be, his cast will not be interruptible until his shield is down. Once his shield is down, you can kind of kick him to interrupt the cast before he blinds everybody. And then from here on, the mechanic just repeats by itself. So Judgment again, do a tank swap. Yep, on the two different Light Blood and who's the other one? Bellamy. Yeah. And then after that it's just dispel, dispel. This is Sense one, dispel, and then the mechanic just repeats again from here. So some things to take note as well. Whenever they cast their devotion aura or whatever, it's gonna drop a caution on the ground, like what I said. Okay, so the space is gonna be a lot more as each aura gets off. So you know, just make sure you're doing the mechanics as they come. Again, blinding light. Make sure to take down the shield and then interrupt. Then don't get hit by the shields, the divine toll that's gonna come on every player. Yep. And that's it for this fight. Okay, Crown of the Cosmos. So this fight is going to be a very long one, so there's a lot of mechanics to take note of. Most are kind of self-explanatory, like let's say this soak, the puddles and everything, don't step in it. But like this one, okay, so this one is kind of like a frontal, where when you get stuck in the middle of the pool, you gotta kind of move yourself out of the pool. So it'll kind of be like an arrow shot that shoots out across everything. Wherever you stand, you gotta move the lines out, and then whenever you get stuck in the middle, you move the lines out, and everybody else in the raid team has to kind of avoid your lines as they come along. Okay, so Crown of the Cosmos, basically Alaria Windrunner. The last boss of the Voidspire is like a multiple part fight where you gotta kill mini bosses first. So there's actually 3 mini bosses, but you gotta kind of kill the 3 mini bosses first. I'm only showing the last 2 because I missed the recording on the first one. So same thing, you see these arrows, you see these stars that form. Players are gonna move out of it. Make sure the cast is as small or as big as possible to kind of avoid multiple raid team members. Okay, other members just avoid those lines of stars. Okay, the sucking pool thing, just make sure you get out of those, and then just cleave and kill any void droplets that have spawned. The Alaria is gonna kind of cast her arrow shots as well. It's gonna be white in color. Random players will be targeted with those arrows. Just make sure you don't stand in the middle of those arrows, because it's gonna be like a healing kind of debuff. Okay, after that we go to the actual boss fight. So here we go. So the actual first phase is actually kind of hard already, so it's gonna be more challenging on the second phase. Okay, so I call this phase 1 of the actual boss fight. So Alaria starts casting. So this is where you kind of just have to keep avoiding. The platform is gonna go from like a flat platform to like a concave platform that goes downwards. Okay, so you kind of try to avoid every single thing that appears basically. So any kind of buffs like speed buffs, movement buffs, you know, Tiger's Lust from the monks, the druids, movement speed, everything, that's all useful here. So she's gonna basically cast all her mechanics, random mechanics. So arrows, just avoid those arrows. Circles, avoid those circles. Orbs, avoid the orbs. Okay, as it goes on, you're just basically avoiding and dodging every single thing that happens. Yeah, so on this phase, it's more like a healer kind of phase. So just make sure you have your healing cooldowns. Everybody gets jumped into the air and then come down, and we start the fight. So during the fight, there'll be 2 things you gotta kind of tank. The first tank is gonna tank the boss herself, Alaria Windrunner. The other tank is gonna tank the Rift Sanctum. Is gonna be on the opposite side of the room. So you kind of want to start on one of the lines, the white lines that you see, basically because there'll be three parts of the platform, right? So one part of the platform will start becoming void zone area in a moment. So you're gonna want to see that you're gonna want to start as close as possible to one of the corners. Okay, as the 2 bosses as the fight goes on, there'll be this random undying void spawns that spawn. Whoever is whoever has the Death Knight on any of the bosses kind of have to pull the ads closer so that they don't get off too many casts. Okay, and then tank swaps will be happening between the Rift Sanctum and Alaria. So this Rift Sanctum is like an extra ad that's gonna be appearing on the platform, and you got to kind of put these 2 bosses away from each other because they take damage reduction when they're very close. Okay, here there was like a FPS lag, so yeah, just a bit of time for the thing to load. Yeah, then the boss stopped again. Okay, so the mechanic on this is Void Explosion. So Void Explosion, there'll be basically extra ads, so you just pull the ads in to whoever's tanking Alaria or the other boss. So this is Ranger's Mark, so it's kind of like the arrow that you saw earlier, but this time players got to kind of align their Ranger's Mark in a way that it doesn't hit anyone. Later we'll be using the Ranger's Mark for one of the mechanics, and I'll explain to it later. Okay. Yep, here is the Ranger's Mark again. Yes, what you want to do is kind of spread out the mark so that people can, your raid team basically can get out of the Ranger's Mark, because if you have 2 or 3 going at the same time, it's gonna hurt. So healers do be aware of the Ranger's Mark. Okay, and every so often the Void Circle, when the Void Adds die, from when she spawns those Void Adds, right, this Void Expulsion, when they die, they form like a big pool of puddle on the floor. So this phase you gotta kind of pull Alaria and the Rift Sanctum away from each other and keep kiting them around the platform as it goes. Okay, and the same thing, there's these arrow shots as well, just avoid those. Okay, as you can see, when the void adds die, they form that puddle that's on the top of my screen, so you gotta kind of move the boss and the Rift Sanctum around as well. Yep, so by the end of the three sides of the circle, this Rift Sanctum has to die, leaving Alaria to about 60%, okay, before there's no space. So like you can see here, we're left with, I think, one last area of space, so this Rift Sanctum has to die. After he dies, this is where the second phase kind of starts. Okay, so second phase start. Okay, so what she does is do that same shockwave again, everybody gets thrown into the air, and the platform is basically split, and we are gonna start walking around in circles. So main objective, don't touch the orbs or else you die, and then just avoid the arrows as they come. Yep, so we just rotate everywhere, turn. Do take note that the platform is actually going upwards. Okay, so there's actually a gap between the 2 different platforms, so from here on you gotta kind of move and then jump. Yeah, it's not a big jump, just a very small jump, unlike what you're gonna see later on. So yeah, once you're on this part, I think as long as you go 1 full circle or something, then she pulls you into the air again, and this is the time to lust. So on phase 2, this is where she's about 60%, or you want to kind of get her to about 65%. You last phase on her, okay, and this is where this is like the last phase. So aspect of the end is basically like a pulling thread thing. The player that is marked, basically me on this point, because I was kind of playing with a loss of concentration. You're supposed to actually pull the thread outwards to make it kind of snap, and then this big circle, which is the big AoE, is gonna explode. So yeah, I didn't do this very well at the start. You'll see me with the mark later on at the end to have it done properly. Yeah, and then the arrows as well, so just avoid yeah, so when the mark explodes, basically it becomes a big AoE and then a huge rate bite damage basically. Okay, and then this frontal thing from the start of the mini bosses, it will happen again, so just pull the frontals out. Do make sure to try and point the frontals away from the boss as much as possible, because you want to be cleaving single target on the boss as much as possible. Okay, and then at this point, as the fight is going, she'll be casting random adds, or random adds that will kind of spawn. So from around here, you kind of want to get your Warlock portal out, because the adds will form in the area of denial space, or the orbs basically is going to form. And then what you want to do is kind of click the Warlock portal, or take one of the feathers that's on the platform. You'll see the feathers thing later on the second platform that we are. Okay, so this is second phase of the platform. So same thing, arrows we pointed outwards. Okay, so wherever is the optimal area to point. Yeah, once it sets off, just make sure you avoid everything and go for melee players, just go towards her as much as possible. Okay, and the mechanic cycle repeats, so same thing. After this, she'll cast, is it her arrow? Grasp arrow. Yep, you see the multiple arrows shooting out again. Okay, so this fight is on slow motion, so you guys can see what we're doing on the boss. Okay, it took us about 15 pulls to yep, you see the threat going off, red white damage, arrows again. Just move the boss out. So as we move across the platform, these feathers that you can see on the floor, white color feathers, will appear. This will enable you to kind of move faster and jump across to the last phase. So by the time you reach the last pizza slice, you want to kind of get her to about 15% or less than 20% to kind of kill her at this point. Yeah. So every mechanic is just basically a react and move mechanic. So as long as you can do the mechanics, it should be okay, and then have ample enough damage to kind of take her down as well. Yeah, so when you're like me and some other people right here, you kind of just want to stay still, because if you move in the way of the frontal, it'll kill you. Okay, once the frontal is gone, then you can kind of move back towards the boss. Yep, and then this triple frontal thing happens quite a lot. So it happens on random players. It's good for players to understand when this happens. Just move, the tanks move the boss to like a outside of the frontals, and then you try to kind of point the frontals away from the raid team as much as possible. Yeah, this is the threat thing. You get marked by the threat, you get out and you pull, and then you snap the threat, and it does red white damage. Yep, and that is the Ahead of the Curve achievement. Yep, for more videos, do stay tuned to my channel, and thanks you guys for watching. 40 Wipes DPS Academy.